Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel. I know I haven't been making videos for a couple months now. Since my last upload, I had videos planned, but the deadlines were not met due to not having enough of one, the weapon plans that I needed, and the event was gone. Either way, there was a lot of issues in the way that prevented that video from being released, and I got a little sloppy and I didn't post, and I ran out of ideas, and I just didn't know what to do, so I kind of just came to a complete stop. But it's been a while from that point, and I'm glad to say that we are back and we are making more content. And there's gonna be more stuff coming out, but I wanted to do something I was very familiar with before I started pushing out more videos that I think you guys would probably enjoy even more. But I know you guys enjoy these videos just as much, so that's why I'm making it. Um, but yeah, this video is going to be way more detailed, way more pinpoint accuracy when it comes to explaining literally everything. More in depth, more showing off the weapons in particular, more variety. You'll see. Um, it is going to be ranked, so you're going to have the not so greatest weapons be at 15 and in the middle area, but then the best weapons, in my opinion, at number one. I would say that it'd be easier to get these weapons at the back a lot faster, but most weapons you should be using when you're level 45 to 50. So, but enough talking. I'm glad to be back, and let's go ahead and get in with weapon number 15. Starting off the list with number 15, we're going to be using the Cremator. Let's go ahead and get into the very first test. The number 15th slot, we're going to be using the Cremator here. And I'm just going to go over why I decided to choose the Cremator. And just kind of like a small little pros and cons list here. The Cremator is good. Great damage, great radius, you can see here with the Grenadier perk. Does a great job at wiping this place out, but if you're somebody who's not trying to use buckets and buckets and buckets of ammo and doesn't have a lot of gold bullion to spend to buy such a weapon, that's why I'm placing it at the back of the list. Because it takes a lot of ammo and you have to spend a good deal of gold bullion. So that definitely brings it a lot farther down when it comes to availability. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to test number 2 because that's West Deck over with. The Cremator, we're gonna be killing the glowing behemoth. And also just gonna go over just a little bit more on why I think it is in the 15th spot compared to higher up on the list. So, I mean, you can see it's doing a great job right now, but you can see it's eating up ammo a lot faster, like an assault rifle, or honestly, even a minigun. It eats up real quick. So you can see we're already at 361. I wanted to make sure you guys could check out how quick it takes up. So yeah. And of course, you actually have to spend gold bullion to actually even obtain the weapon and its modification. So that's also a downgrade as well for the weapon, and that's why it's so low. But let's go ahead and move on to my perk build and what I was using for the modifications on the weapon. My camp, and we're going to go ahead and show you off the modifications that I was using and some modifications that you could use if you would like to run a different build than what I just showed off. So, I'm using the anti-armor and extra weapon speed. And I really, honestly, the 250 damage while resistance isn't too important. But, if you get yourself like a bloodied or an anti-armor or a vampires, all the merrier, it works. So for the color, I just went with blue. This doesn't matter what you choose. This isn't going to affect the weapon at all. I just wanted to shoot blue flames because I think that's pretty cool that this weapon allows you to do that. I mean, blue fireballs. So this weapon has the option of the multi-barrel, but I definitely think the heavy barrel maximizes the weapon so well. But at the same time, though, I have the 25 weapon percent speed, so I really don't have to worry too much about that. It's almost like already having that mod on, so I can run this. But if you're someone who wants to shoot real quick, then I'd run the multi. So for sure, go ahead and use that. But the one that I was using was the heavy. We're also using the fast propellant tank. Now you could use the large one or the huge or the large, but that brings down your AP and your weight, and it's just not that worth it. Even for this, like the low amount of numbers that it goes down, it's not that worth it, and you can reload so quick. It's not even that big of a deal. So it's for me, it's worth it. I'm also just using the this paint right here. I'm not sure if you can get this anymore. I got this weapon off the scoreboard, so and I got this along with it. I don't know if you can get this anywhere else. I'm pretty sure it's just a scoreboard thing. Now your options are totally up to you here. I ran the napalm tank because I get 948 damage consecutively for 6 seconds. This one you get so much more damage, but for you have to wait double the time, 12 seconds. So an additional 6 more seconds. You also am losing around 100 damage off of your base damage. You can see if I were to put on the slow burning, it go from 527. You go up napalm tank for 608. I've done various testing methods and I've found out that the napalm tank is way better. So, but it's totally up to you. If you would like to be more patient and wait it out, if you're doing a more tankier enemy, I think that you're going to do a little bit better with the slow burning, but maybe you can run one with a napalm and one with the slow burning. You could just find out which one works for you. Going over to the punch card machine to show you off the perks for this build, we're running 12 strength, 3 in perception, 8 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 8 in intelligence, 10 in agility, and 11 in luck. Now checking out the perks, we already have 3 in all of the heavy gunner perks and 3 in blocker. Now, you can totally switch blocker out, but I think this is almost necessary for me at least. Now you have the heavy gunner perks. This is obvious. You have concentrated fire for that. You also have grenadier for that extra explosion radius because this is an explosive heavy weapon. You have life giver, fireproof, which is a total must need when using this build. Radical as well. Totally a must need if you're doing a bloody build. You don't have to, but this build is speciated for the way that I'm running it. So, just a heads up, you can totally run different perks, but I'm just showing you the way that I'm running it and how I'm going to run the rest of the builds. Stranger in numbers, if you have teammates or if you just joined a team, this is helpful. Tenderizer, which allows your target to receive more damage for 10 seconds after shooting them. Super helpful. Nerd Rage, it's what we were using, along with Demolitions Expert. Some people might not already know this, but this is going to add on to this weapon's damage because it is an explosion. Even though it says explosives, this does count. We're also going to be running Action Boy, Gung Fu, and Adrenaline. I probably didn't show Gung Fu to its full potential, but you get the idea, and we're going to show that perk off a little bit more later with another weapon in particular. You're going to be running Bloody Mess, One Gun Army, Class Freak, Star Chains, pretty much normal here. There's nothing too crazy to go on. For the legendary perks, we have Taking One for a Team. You can see that I'm only have 2 out of 4. I mean, this weapon can only get even more better, to be honest, the further you go. And this stuff is all pretty basic here, but just in case you wanted to see. But that's going to be it for weapon number 15. We'll go ahead and move on to weapon number 14. I did forget to mention this, but if you would like to find the weapon plan for the Cremator and its modifications, you're going to have to come to the crater, which is in the middle of the map at the very top in the Toxic Valley. You'll find it right here. You can go inside the crater core, take a left, and talk to Mortimer, which you should find what you're looking for inside the notes. I already have the Cremator plans and modifications purchased, so, but except for this is the one thing I didn't purchase, but you should find it right here. One thing to note is that you do have to reach the ally rank in the reputation bar for the raiders to have the ability to unlock it. So you're out of luck unless you don't. So you're probably going to want to have to grind your reputation rank by doing the missions like talk to Ren or speak to Oscar. Those can help you increase, or if you're doing your main storyline still. So, but you cannot get it unless you have that rank. But let's move on to weapon number 14 now. Weapon number 14, we're going to be using the Gauss Minigun. Let's go ahead and get into the very first test. Okay, so for weapon number 14, we're here at West Tech with the Gauss Minigun, which is a great weapon, but yet again, similar to the Cremator, it has its downsides. We're gonna wait for him to come out. Last thing we want is to get Suicide exploded. But it has its downsides. Now, I'm going to go ahead and probably list the one that is probably the most obvious if you're someone who's already beaten the storyline. It is the fact that the weapon costs a lot of gold bullion. I mean, the thing isn't cheap, and you can only get it once you've completed the game. So, that's another thing you want to keep in mind. You have to complete the game to get the weapon, and, well, at least the main quest line. You also have to reach a max reputation with the raiders for the weapon. And it also eats up ammo pretty quick. But that's not surprising. It's a minigun. But we're going to go ahead and finish off these enemies real quick. I think that's everything. Yep, I'm not locking on to anything. Alright, yeah, that's West Tech. We'll go ahead and move on to the second demonstration with the Gauss Minigun. So for the second test, we're back at the glowing behemoth. So we're gonna go ahead and shoot at him and get him taken care of. So the weapon, you can see is doing it's doing good damage, but I mean it really is more of an end game weapon. So I mean, like, he's gone 200 bullets, but I mean that's 200 bullets, you know, and it's gonna take a lot of, you know, like, it's going to take over 1,000 gold bullion to buy. You have to finish the end game. You have to get to the max reputation. It's not the greatest damage resulting, so you can see why I placed it at number 14. But let's go ahead and get on to the build and the modifications on the Gauss Minigun. Modifications on the Gauss Minigun. We were running the armor penetration, the 50% critical damage, and perception. So this one's really good. Honestly, I don't know if there is one that could be topped. I'm not too sure. I don't really use this weapon too much, but I mean, using the armor penetration and critical damage has treated me very well. So we're using the tri-barrel. I know some people like to use the penta-barrel, but it does take down off of that off of your overall damage. It does increase your fire rate. You can see it has a couple, like 2 extra barrels. It does increase VAT accuracy, but not by a lot. So I feel like for the overall trade-off, the tri-barrel is probably where it's at. I would not mess around with the standard barrel unless you really want it to work like a sniper, but I don't know many people who would try to do that. This is a minigun after all. We're running no skins or anything. We're using the Tesla coil compactor. Now, you could use like a Tesla coil dynamo, but you really just see it tanks all your stats. It really doesn't help much but capacity, but what is that really helping other than an extra 75 bullets? But the enemy's dead by the time you're done with them, so you don't need the extra ammo. Now, the Ultrasight 2mm EC ammo is great. If you're somebody who can grind up that ammo, which I'm not too sure how expensive that truly is, then your prime capacitor is totally worth it compared to the standard Tesla coil compactor. So, but I mean, it does take off that extra 14 energy or electric damage. So I'm not too sure that trade-off is really that worth it. I think that maybe you should just go ahead and keep it as the standard. So if I were you, I would probably keep it as the standard. We're also just going to be running the gunner sights because you kind of need to aim in sometimes with the weapon. You can't just always be using VATs. So having the extra visibility does help with this weapon. But that's going to be it for the modifications that we went ahead and used. I really feel like this is the only way you can really use the Gauss Minigun. But for the perk build, we went ahead and are using 12 strength, 3 perception, 7 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 9 in intelligence, 10 in agility, and 11 in luck. And this is what that looks like. We have all the master heavy gunner perks, the expert heavy gunner perks, pretty basic, pretty self-explanatory about why we need those. The blocker, of course, concentrated fire, grenadier, life giver, fireproof. This one is very important when you're using a build that uses grenadier or like a flamer. Strange in numbers, super helpful. Tenderizer, you can see I'm in a team. Someone else is using this. It's very helpful. Nerd Rage, you can see we're using that. Power User, because this is a power armor build. I can't stress that enough. That's what this is meant for. Stabilize, because it's a power armor build. Action Boy, Gung Fu, and Adrenaline. You're probably not going to be using Gung Fu that much. If you want, you could probably take it off, but I would recommend using the build that I'm using here. I just didn't use it to its full capabilities because I'm trying to make this a little quick. There's a lot more to go. Um, Obviously, a bloody mess. One gun army. Class freak. Starch jeans is pretty basic. I'm using the same legendary perks as every other build that you're going to see here. If not, I might change it up a little bit. I'll show the legendary perks if I do change it up. But it's the same thing so far. But that's going to be it for the perk build. Let's go ahead and move on how you can get the weapon plans and the weapon modifications for the Gauss Minigun. To find the weapon plans and the modifications, you're going to be coming back to the crater, which is in the exact same spot, same location as the cremator. It's here at the Toxic Valley. Go inside the crater core, we'll take another left to see Mortimer, where you can go all the way over to your notes, all the way down, and you should see all the Gauss Minigun stuff that you can learn here. You can see it's going to cost you a bit, around $750 plus all of the modifications here. It's going to round out a little bit over 1,000, probably like 1,300 or 1,200 maybe. Not too sure, but it's going to cost you a lot. Anyway, now you are going to need to have the max raider reputation, which is ally, before this weapon plan and modification show up in Mortimer's inventory or buying system. So you do need to note that. So you also have to complete the storyline to even get access to this weapon. So that's why it's placed at number 14, because it's not very accessible if you're somebody who hasn't completed the storyline, or even if you haven't even reached the ally in the raider reputation. So that's going to be it for weapon number 14. We'll go ahead and move on to weapon number 13. Weapon number 13, we're going to be using the electrified auto axe. Let's go ahead and get into demonstration number 1. In number 13, we're using the auto axe, and the reason for its placement being kind of low on the list is because, one, you do have to get up and close and personal with your enemies to kill them, and two, it's very interesting the ways that you can actually get the weapon. There are 2 ways that you can get it, and both of them are not the greatest, to say the least. Now, yes, its damage is great. You can see I'm mowing down these enemies very easily, but I am having to get close and personal. But still, it's very good. We'll take out the sentry turret. Oh, one more enemy. Alright, well, that's it. We'll go ahead and move on to test number 2. Okay, here at test number 2 with the glowing behemoth. So, obviously, the weapon's good. Its damage is great, but with its 2 main purchase being that you have to spend money and that you also have to grind many expeditions. It's a very interesting weapon, and yeah, but I mean, it does very well. You can see it just killed the glowing behemoth in literal seconds. But let's go ahead and show you where to get the weapon plans and, well, actually, the modifications and the perk build. The perk build for the auto axe, we're using the bloodied with 50% limb damage and weapons break slower. This is probably your most optimal build because it is a melee one and you have to get up and close and personal, but you can totally run like perhaps like a Juggernaut or a Vampires will totally work, but I was using the Bloodied version and that one worked just fine. You could, as you saw in the test. The only modification that we're using is the Electrified. And that's going to be it for the modifications. Let's go ahead and move on to the perk build. So we're going to be using 15 in strength, 3 in perception, 5 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 10 in intelligence, 8 in agility, 11 in luck. We're going to have all of the slugger perks, because this is melee. Incisor, if I'm saying that right, or incisor. Blocker, glowing sight. 4 in life giver, radical, strange in numbers, tenderizer. You can see I am in a team and 2 people were using it. Nerd rage. 2 out of the 3 science perks. Stable tools, so your melee weapon will break slower. I honestly probably don't need to run this because my weapon already breaks slower. So if you would want, you could probably take this out if you're lucky like me and throw in more science perks. You're going to be running Action Boy, Escape Artist, Adrenaline, Bloody Mess, Ricochet, Class Freak, Starch Jeans. And that's going to be it for the perk build. Let's go ahead and get on to where you can find the weapon mods and the weapon plan itself for the auto axe. And the weapon plans and modifications for the auto axe, you're going to want to come to the White Spring Resort, go inside, and find Giuseppe, which is right here next to her. And you're going to use your stamps to go on ahead and purchase the auto axe. You can see I already have the auto axe, but you can see these are some of the modifications that are here that you can buy. So the auto axe is going to cost around 500 stamps, plus a modification is going to cost around 40, so it's going to be 540. One of the reasons why I placed this weapon at number 13 is because of the fact that it's not as good as the chainsaw, and it costs so much that it's, it's good. It deserves its place on the list, but it's not going to be as lower as the chainsaw is going to be. But for the other way to get the weapon, if you go to your menu and you go to the atomic shop, and you scroll down to the bundles, if my game would load here. There we go. Yeah, if you go down to the bundles, here we go. You can find the Auto Axe Starter Bundle, which is right here, which this will give you a bunch of other stuff, and but it also gives you the Auto Axe as well. But it costs 500 stamps, but instead you can spend money. It's around, if you want to buy the pack, it's going to cost around $10, but if you buy the auto axe by itself, it's going to cost like $5 to $6, maybe $7. I'm not really too sure, but it's going to be like minus like $3 or $4 off of this $10 right here. So yeah, that's the alternative. So you can spend money or you can grind. If I had to be honest with you, I think spending the money is a little bit more worth it because it's going to take you a long time to get those stamps. If you're somebody who wants to get the weapon soon, then I would recommend you just buy it. It's not that expensive, and I mean, I think it's worth it for a weapon that it is. But the chainsaw is free, and you can get it pretty quickly compared to the weapon, so honestly, you don't even really need to get it, but if you're someone who really wants to get it, I'd recommend just going the money route. But that's going to be it for the weapon plans and the modifications on how to get the weapon. Let's move on to weapon number 12. For weapon number 12, we're going to be using the cold shoulder. Let's go ahead and get into the first demonstration. First demonstration with weapon number 12, we're going to be taking out the super mutants real quick. So, I think this weapon is a little bit better than the cold shoulder. I mean, the auto axe. One, because I don't have to get up and close and personal, and because the chainsaw is better than the auto axe, and you're gonna have to spend more to get the auto axe, which makes that a bit of a downside. And this thing, I can just go in, I can mow down my enemies pretty quick. It doesn't require that much skill. Similar to the auto axe, really, that doesn't require a lot of skill either. But, you know, the other weapon's better than the auto axe, and this one just comes in here and it sweeps it out. I'm using ammunition, and, you know, I can kill everything from afar. So, it's pretty fun and pretty easy. But let's move on to the second demonstration. We are back at the glowing behemoth for the second test with the cold shoulder. So the cold shoulder is probably, I mean, it is better all out and all around. I mean, you can just see how quick it melted him. I mean, we do have to get a little reload in, and it does take a second, and sometimes the shots are dodgy, but when the shots land, they're powerful. So sometimes you'll shoot them like, and you'll kill them with the 8 bullets that you have, because you're gonna hit all your shots. But it just depends on how dodgy it can be. But you can see it took him out really, really quick. But let's get into the perk build and the modifications. The modifications with the cold shoulder. This weapon already comes predetermined with its mods. It has the 4 times ammo capacity, 50+% damage to cryptids, and it gradually freezes enemies' movement speed up to 85% for 4 seconds. So we're using the refined calibrated receiver. This one is by far the best one that I've used so far. Now, you could run something like the prime receiver if you're somebody who wants, like, who can deal with the fact that it's going to eat up ultrasight shells instead of the traditional shells, but it's also going to take down your VATS accuracy. And this thing isn't that accurate, even whenever it has its 52 accuracy with the refined receiver. So just note that you're going to be taking away a lot of your accuracy when you use the prime receiver, although you are going to be adding extra damage. So we're using the aligned long barrel. This is, yet again, by far the best barrel. Pretty much there's nothing else that could compete with it. This one just, it only adds pretty much benefits. We're going to be using the, where is it? I think it's the standard stock. The stabilized. We're using the stabilized stock. So the stabilized stock, I'm pretty sure, is just the original. I can't remember if I changed this one out or not. You probably could. Actually, yeah. This is the one that you actually do want. It's the aligned stock. I never put on the aligned stock. I have no idea why. But yeah, if you want to increase your accuracy, it's going to be the aligned stock. So note that I wasn't using this stock, but this is the one that you do want to use. I was just using the reflex dot. You're going to be using this thing in VATS like 90% of the time, so it doesn't really matter. But if you want this one, you don't want this. You do not want this. Either one of these are fine. There's absolutely no muzzle. I don't see a point for a muzzle at all. There is no point for a muzzle. Just use no muzzle. I'm using the standard cold shoulder paint because I think this looks sick. I do have this one, but I think this one looks 10 times nicer. But let's go ahead and get into the perk build. We're running, wrong thing. Wait, yeah. 15 strength, 4 perception, 5 endurance, 4 in charisma, 3 in intelligence, 14 in agility, and 11 in luck. So we're going to be running all of the master, all the shotgunner perks, along with scatter shot and blocker. We're going to be running skeet shoot, also with concentrated fire, life giver, radical, strange in numbers, tenderizer, nerd rage, action boy, enforcer, escape artist, gung fu, and adrenaline. We're going to be running bloody mess, better criticals, class freak, starch jeans, and ricochet. These are just, I guess, some extra bonus perks right here for my teammates. But that's going to be it for the perk build. Let's get into how you can find its weapon plans and the modifications. In the cold shoulder and its weapon plans and modifications, you're going to want to come back to the White Spring Resort, similar to the Auto Axe. We're going to be talking to Giuseppe, and you're going to be using stamps again. So yet again, I'm not too sure if it's 500. I'm pretty sure it is 500 stamps again, plus maybe some other. Well, actually, no, you don't buy your mods here at all. For the modifications, you're just going to be scrapping double barrel shotguns. Every time you scrap a double barrel shotgun, it has a chance to give you a random modification for the weapon. So just kill enemies, grab them, or craft them, and then scrap them, and you'll get the modifications for the double barrel for the cold shoulder. But you're gonna find the cold shoulder itself in Giuseppe's notes for around 500 stamps. No modifications in here. The second way to get it is by going to your menu, going back to the atomic shop, and going to the bundles again. Scrolling all the way back down, you can see it's right here next to the auto wax, the cold shoulder. Yeah, you can see it's right there. The cold shoulder is also available in game for 500 stamps. So you can also just buy the cold shoulder by itself for a lesser price, or you can buy the starter bundle here, which gives you all this if you guys want to check that out. Now, of course, the reason why I'm putting these weapons so close to each other at the bottom of the list is because you either have to buy them with real life money, or you have to really grind out like a super long time. You can't just get these weapons in a day. So it's going to take you a very long time to get them. And I mean, they're by no means insanely OP, but they're good enough to use them pretty much anywhere. I've seen people solo Earl with just a cold shoulder, same with an auto axe. So they're good enough that they can do that, but they're by no means like top 10 weapons. So with those downsides, it really puts them a little farther back on the list. But that's going to be it for weapon number 12. We'll go ahead and move on to weapon number 11. For weapon number 11, we're going to be using the Enclave plasma rifle. Let's go ahead and get into the first demonstration. Here we are with the first demonstration test with the plasma Enclave rifle. You can see it's just melting the super mutants down very fast. The reason why I put this weapon at number 11 was because it's probably one of the harder weapons in the game to obtain. It's not like you have to get to end game for it. That would just be plain simple. No, this weapon takes a lot more work, probably weeks of work to get. I mean, just depends on how lucky you are in your RNG. It also burns through durability really quick, probably the fastest that I've ever seen a weapon go through durability. It also eats through ammo extremely quick. It pretty much just burns through everything really quick. Durability, ammo, time, pretty much everything. But it also burns through enemies really quick as well. But that's going to be it for demonstration 1. Let's move on to the second one. Here we are again, back at the glowing behemoth for the test number 2. So let's go ahead and see how quick this thing can melt straight through a glowing behemoth. You can see we're pretty much just melting through him. Yep. But you can see we used a good bit of ammo, but I'll just show you the durability real quick. This thing was at max durability, and you could see after only like six 60 to 70 bullets and like 2 minutes worth of testing, it's already down that much, which is insane. This thing burns through durability quicker than like a flamer or like any weapon that I've ever seen. Um, so yeah, there's a reason why it gets its number 11 spot. But let's go ahead and show you the perk build and the modifications that were used on this flamer. For the 3-star legendary perks and my modifications on the Enclave Flamer, we went ahead and we used armor penetration, 50% chance to hit a target in VATS, and agility. This is not the greatest one. I'm definitely aware that this weapon could be better with its 3-star legendary effects, but still, I think the armor penetration does shine a lot for this weapon. Not so much the other two, maybe the agility, but the 50% armor penetration is truly a gem when you're using this weapon. Bloodied and probably might work as well. I mean, just depends on what you guys get. This is what I got. I stopped, I rolled it for the very first time, and this is what I got. So I kind of just kept it because I didn't really feel like messing with it all. But for the modifications, we went ahead and threw on the prime capacitor. I would not recommend using the standard. The prime capacitor is really the best way to go overall. Um, for this, we're using the stabilized flamer barrel, which I'll show you how to get. This is what really makes the weapon really have that in the 11th spot because it's so difficult to get the flamer barrel. You can see what it looks like without the flamer barrel and with it. We are just using the stabilized stock. This came with the weapon. We also have the standard sights. You can also throw on the short night vision scope, which does increase the VATS accuracy, but you aren't really going to be using this weapon in VATS too much, I don't feel. But it's definitely recommended just to throw it on. But if you don't want to, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's going to increase your AP cost. Personally, I think that having the extra AP is probably more worth it. I don't have anything on it, so like any skins, but that's going to be it for the modifications. Let's go ahead and show you the perk build. We're having 3 in strength, 15 in perception, 5 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 7 in intelligence, 8 in agility, and 14 in luck. We're just going to be using blocker in strength, all the commando perks, because this is an assault rifle build, max concentrated fire for people who do use VATS, more, and life giver along with radical, strange in numbers, tenderizer, nerd rage, and science perks also work with this weapon to deal extra damage. I know there are three different science sets perks. I only have 2 on. In agility, we have Action Boy, Escape Artist, and Adrenaline. For luck, we have Bloody Mess, Better Criticals, Class Freak, Star Machines, and Critical Savvy. That's going to be it for our perk card build. Let's go ahead and move on how to show you how you can get the weapon and how you can get the mod for the weapon. To get the Enclave Plasma Rifle, you're going to have to start a quest line here at the Abandoned Dump Waste. Once you travel to here, this is the area that it's at. If you have maybe like the Southern Belle Motel unlocked, you can just come here, or maybe these areas on the map, or perhaps Harper's Ferry, you can come over to the Abandoned Dump Waste and see 2 dead Yao Guai and go in there. You should find hollow tapes, I think is what you're looking for. Also, for now, that's just the beginning. Once you've unlocked the quest line for the Enclave, should direct you somewhere towards the White Spring Bunker, where you'll start the Enclave mission, and once you are with the Enclave for a while and you reach like a certain rank, like a military rank of like General, I think is what it was. Once you hit General, you should be able to launch nukes and a couple other different things, but you should be able to do these now side quest missions that will randomly pop up around the area. You can see here's one of them right here, Enclave event, a real blast in Welch. But the ones you're going to be looking for are going to be here in Harper's Ferry and here in Watoga, I think are the two areas this event will spawn. It's called a drop connection with the Enclave. And once you've completed this event, which it doesn't take maybe longer than 5 to 10 minutes, um, you'll have a small chance to receive the rifle itself. Sometimes you can receive the rifle with the flamer barrel mod, but most of the time, more than 80% of the time, you're just gonna get the one that's just the standard semi-automatic rifle, or maybe you might even get the sniper variation. But yes, that is how you obtain the weapon. You will start the quest line here at the abandoned dump waste. It's very long and very lengthy, so don't expect to finish it in a day, let alone get the weapon in a day. Took me weeks, so just a quick disclaimer. Now let's go ahead and move on to the modifications. To get the Flamer Barrel mod modification, if you haven't yet received it and now you have your Enclave Plasma Rifle, you're going to want to come to the Watoga Station in Watoga and then trade with this bot. And whenever you go all the way over to the mods, you can scroll down to see if you can find the Enclave Plasma Rifle Flamer Barrel. You see, I unfortunately did not find it because it has an extremely low chance that he will be selling it. It's not that expensive, maybe 200, 300 caps, but it's extremely difficult to find. Very, very low chance. Some people have been able to find theirs in just a couple of hours. I found mine after a couple weeks. So it's not very easy to find. Another spot that you can go is the Watoga Shopping Plaza. I do believe that it can spawn in other train stations, but I am not yet aware if that is possible. I found mine in the Watoga station, not the Watoga Shopping Plaza, but what I would do is I would check these two areas and then I'd find a new server. Or you can just continue to try to see if you can grind drop connection events. I just server swap and try to see if I can find more drop connection events as well. Also, I would look up a tutorial on how to do the entire quest line for the Enclave, because it is very long. So a nice tutorial would probably help you. But that's going to be it for the how to find the mods and the weapon itself for the Enclave Plasma Rifle. Let's go ahead and move on to weapon number 10. For weapon number 10, we're going to be using the Pepper Shaker. Let's go ahead and get into the very first demonstration. So for weapon number 10, we have the Pepper Shaker here. And the Pepper Shaker is cracked. Like, this thing is extremely good to use. Like, I could see myself using this pretty much anywhere. Which I don't say for many weapons, because I don't use a lot of weapons all the time. I'm more of an assault rifle guy, so I don't really use heavy guns like that. But this weapon's really good. Of course, it is at number 10 because of the fact that it can only be obtained through an event and certain drops. So it has a limited drop rate. It also needs gold bullion for its modification, so it's going to cost gold as well. So it's a little bit difficult to obtain, but it is very good though. Very good. So I think that's everybody. Let's go ahead and make sure. Yep, that's everything. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the second demonstration. So we're here at the Glowing Behemoth to test out the Pepper Shaker. So, I mean, as far as I'm aware, there is only a select way to get the Pepper Shaker plans to craft the weapon, from what I am aware. But you can just see it melts through him in one mag just so quick. He's out. He's not coming back. But yeah, I mean, it deserves its 10 spot because one, it's so good, and two, I mean, you can't really get it anymore, except for one way, which I'll show you here in a sec. But before I do that, let me go ahead and show you the perk build and the modifications that I used on this pepper shaker. For the modifications on this pepper shaker, we were using the bloodied and a 50% chance to hit a target in VATS, along with a 15% reload speed. This one is pretty good, and I like every legendary star effect that I have right here, because this weapon is actually classified as a heavy gun and a shotgun. So, since shotguns aren't too reliable and always hitting every single pellet, it's nice to always have that extra 50% chance to hit the target. And the reload speed is helpful too, because this thing is kind of like a minigun as well. So, it's nice. But for the attachments, we were using the dual barrel. You can see the different types are right here. There's the dual, the hex, and the single. But I find that the dual barrel seems to be the best one. Doesn't take away any damage. Actually, it adds onto your damage, except, yeah, it does. So you can see the standard barrel is a 25 times 8. This one is a 25 times 8. Same thing. It's very good. The are using the laser magazine because this will actually change what ammunition you are actually using. So if you're somebody who needs to swap up your ammo types, this is how you're going to do it. So you can run plasma, or you can run cells, or you can just use standard shotgun rounds, because it is, like I said, similar to a shotgun. But of course, you can see plasma and laser are going to add that extra energy damage, opposed to the shells, which don't add anything. So either one of them, these don't affect your damages. They just change out what type of ammo. So yeah, super helpful. Gunner sight. Gunner sights are pretty helpful. I think you're gonna enjoy aiming with this a lot more than this, but you're gonna be using it in VATS. So, but it has a lot of AP cost almost. I don't know. It takes up a good bit since it is kind of like a minigun. So yeah. But that's gonna be it for the attachments and the mods. Let's go ahead and move over to the perk build. So for the perk build, we're running 9 in strength, 3 in perception, 1 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 15 in intelligence, 10 in agility, 14 in luck. And this is what that looks like. So we are using 1 in every single perk here. So we have 1 in Master Heavy Gunner, 1 in Master Shotgunner, 1 in Shotgunner, 1 in Expert Shotgunner, 1 in Heavy Gunner, 1 in Expert Heavy Gunner, and then Blocker. This is going to minimize most of our all of our damage, because this weapon works like a shotgun and a heavy gunner. So instead of just running 3 things of shotgunner or 3 things of heavy gunner, you can run all of them, but with just 1 perk or 1 thing in every single one of the perks. And then of course blocker. And since it is a shotgun, skeet shooter, radical, stranger in numbers, tenderizer, nerd rage, power user, stabilize, because we are going to be using power armor in this build. You don't have to, but it works better with power armor. Uh, Obviously all the science perks, because it is also classified as doing extra damage with energy weapons. So yes, also want to use these. So you're getting like 3 different versions of damage. You have the heavy gunner perks, shotgunner perks, and the science perks all working together for more damage. You'll be using Action Boy, Gung Fu, Adrenaline, Bloody Mess, Better Criticals, Class Freak, Starch Jeans, and Critical Savvy. This is going to be the build lineup for a bloodied, well, actually, not really a bloodied, but just a pepper shaker. All right, so we're going to move on how you can get the weapon plans and the weapon plan modifications for the pepper shaker. To get the weapon plans for the pepper shaker, there is 3 different ways. The first way is by going to a vendor that could be perhaps selling the weapon itself or selling the weapon plan itself. This is by far one of the probably the better ways to get the pepper shaker. The other way is to wait for a meat week, which is a certain event that goes on, and when you participate in the event with Graham, or Graham, however you pronounce his name, you have a chance to receive it as a rare dropped reward, and you can learn the weapon plan. I've heard that another way that you could get it is by doing the boss fight over at the, here it is, the mine over here, the A Colossal Problem, which is Earl, the boss fight. I've heard that he's sometimes dropped the weapon plan. I'm not too sure about that. That's only what I've heard. I haven't done too much research on that. But from what I know, those are the other two ways are the most solid ways to get. Now, to get the weapon mods, you're going to want to come to the Vault 79. So once you've completed the main storyline, you should have Vault 79 unlocked. And you can walk up to Regs and you can talk to him. And you should be able to find it. There's a lot that he sells, so it might take a second to find. Here we go. Here are the Pepper Shaker mods. You're not going to find the Pepper Shaker itself, but you sure can find the all the mods for it. So once you get the plan, however you do get it, this is how you're going to get your mods. Now, also, you can also get the mods if you don't want to go to Vault 79. The Crater, Mortimer, also sells the mods. I'm not sure if the guy I know there's a gold bullion guy here at Foundation. I think he might also sell Pepper Shaker mods. A lot of the gold merchants that use gold, they probably will be selling the Pepper Shaker mods, but not the Pepper Shaker itself. So that's going to be it for weapon number 10. Let's move on to weapon number 9. Weapon number 9, we're going to be using the Plasma Caster. Let's go ahead and get straight into the first demonstration. So for weapon number 9, I went ahead and chose the Plasma Caster. The reason why I decided to choose the Plasma Caster out of a lot of other different weapons that I could have chose for this number was primarily the fact that this weapon requires you to literally beat the game before you can unlock it, getting to Vault 79. So you do have to, like already have beaten the game before you can like even use the weapon at all. And plus, you also have to spend gold bullion to even unlock the weapon plans and its modifications. So there is that also piled on top of it. So, unless you've beat the game and you already have the gold bullion necessarily needed, then you can't really use it. So it's kind of like an end game weapon, but not really at the same time. But I think that's it for West Tech. Let's go ahead and move to the second demonstration. At the Glowing Behemoth. I am going to wait for my AP to charge up while I slowly walk over to him, because this weapon is really supposed to be a VATS weapon. So, I mean, I'm going to use it to its full capabilities here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, he's pretty much dead. Just wait for that to come back. Oh, and he's dead. So that was pretty quick. So, yeah, I mean, the weapon's great. Good damage, good range. This thing can be used like a sniper. It can be used close up. It can really be used anywhere. It's a little finicky. A lot of people, if you've watched any other videos on builds or people using it, they're going to tell you sometimes it's going to hit, sometimes it isn't. So, yeah, I don't think many perks are going to help out with that. But, yeah, let's go ahead and show you the perk build and the modifications on the Plasma Caster. 3-star legendary effects and the modifications on the Plasma Caster, we were using the Bloodied, a 50% chance to hit a target in VATS, and a 50% bonus in critical charge, along with 65% damage scorched. So this is super helpful when you're having stuff like the bonus, because this weapon is a little finicky in some areas. Sometimes it doesn't hit, sometimes it does. Kind of just does its own thing sometimes, but for the most part, it's pretty accurate. But having that extra bonus is pretty helpful. It works really well with Bloodied. It works just as great if you get something like anti-armor. I would recommend that when you are trying to roll good rolls for the weapon, I recommend that you craft the weapon and don't like put random legendary effects on it. I would recommend that you just craft the weapon, because it will already come with 3 legendary effects and it will be random. But it costs less to craft it than it does to use legendary modules. So just a little tip right there whenever you're trying to get a good roll on something like this weapon. I would use the prime capacitor. It really is the only one to use. It works so much better than just the standard. You can see the damage just goes so much more up. I mean, you're adding like an extra 50 plus more damage to the weapon, and there's absolutely no downsides. So, I mean, it really is the only option here. You have the sniper aligned barrel or the aligned sniper barrel. There is this one, but this one is pretty much just straight up downsides. There, it increases your VATS accuracy by 8 if you were to do that barrel compared to this, but it's like 8 is not a huge difference. So, and this one just increases all your other stuff you can see. I mean, if I was to put on this one, you can see how far it goes down compared to this. So, yeah. You don't need any sights. You can see it's on the weapon right there. Like flipping it around for you to see. Yeah, you don't really need a sight. It already comes with it. I don't have any appearances on the weapon at all right now, so this is what it looks like standard. So let's go ahead and show you the perk build that I used. We used 12 in strength, 2 in perception, 5 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 9 in intelligence, 11 in agility, and 13 in luck. We used all the heavy gunner perks along with blocker. You have 1 in concentrated fire, 1 in glowing sight, life giver, radical, strange in numbers, tenderizer, nerd rage, power user, stabilizer. This is a power armor build. I know there are some people that use the plasma caster outside of power armor, but I found that using it in power armor is just a little bit more effective, and it tends to do the job a bit better. We are using Action Boy, Covert Operative, Adrenaline, Bloody Mess, Better Criticals, Class Freak, Starch Genes, Critical Savvy. You could use something like One Gun Army if you would like to take out one of these perks and put in One Gun Army. That's totally fine. This is just the perk setup that I went with. So totally up to you. But that's going to be it for the perk build. Let's go ahead and show you how you can get the Plasma Caster plans and the modifications. Modifications, you will have to complete the main quest line where you raid Vault 79 from the Mysterious Cave, and you get access to the main gold facility. Once you're there, depending on which ending you decide to choose, whether that's where you keep all the gold for yourself and you get 1,000, or you split the gold and you only get 500. Now, if you decide to, whatever you decide to do, you can walk up to Regs, and you can go all the way over to his notes. You can see everything he sells is with gold bullion. I'm going to scroll a bit further down so I can find what we're looking for here. It should be all the way down. Here we are. So here it is, the Plasma Caster. I've already bought in it. It's 750 gold by itself. So if you're someone who hasn't completed the storyline, I would recommend you think about what you're going to do with. Are you going to split your gold? Are you going to keep it? Because it is 750 plus, you know, the mods for the Plasma Caster as well. So you do have to keep that in mind. It's going to be a bit pricey, but you get it right after the end of the game, and you're going to have the gold pretty much right there with you. So pretty much as soon as you finish the game, you can just straight up buy the Plasma Caster and its mods and just straight up have it. So you don't really have to do too much. You literally beat the game and you get the weapon straight up front with him. So that's how you get the Plasma Caster and its mods here at Vault 79. Let's go ahead and move on to weapon number 8. For weapon number 8, we're going to be using the Gatling gun. Let's go ahead and get into demonstration number 1. On to weapon number 8's demonstration. We're using the Gatling gun. Now, the Gatling gun is very good because you can obtain it at a very low level. I mean, we're talking level 15, you know? And it works all the way through. This is something you don't have to grind too much for, and you can see how much damage it's dishing out. Of course, you can pick it up at like local vendors, plans, and I mean, it really just has a lot of upsides. There aren't many, but for the reason why it's at number 8 is just because it's not as versatile as it is with other weapons. It's a more clunkier weapon. It's it's overall a not so great. Like it's not the best weapon, but it's a really solid choice. But let's get to the next demonstration. Here we are at the glowing behemoth again, ready to show off the Gatling gun's impeccable damage. Now, it's by no means a huge contender with like other bosses, but I mean, you can just see how good it is. I mean, it's putting down the behemoth pretty quick, but I mean, it's not as quick as others, obviously, but I mean, the Gatling gun has its place. So, I mean, I'm putting it at number 8 because it's good, but it's not yet like top 5 worthy, you know? It's top 10 worthy, but it's not top 5. And it has its ups and its downs. But that's going to be it for demonstration number 2. I'll show you the perk build and the modifications for the Gatling gun. 3-star legendary effects and the modifications. We're running Bloodied, which is very good for this weapon. So is anti-armor. I feel like you could run this gun a lot of different ways, and it still would pan out very well. It's a very versatile type of weapon, I feel, but it's not as versatile as the top 5 weapons, which is why it lands itself at number 8. But still, it's very good. It has 50 plus limb damage. Not so great third perk, but the first and the second definitely shine. We're running the Speedy Receiver. You could totally run the Prime. You can see that's very good. But I do not want to deal with the Ultra Sight ammo. I don't know how expensive the Ultra Sight ammo is compared to the traditional 5mm, but that's what I'm running. Of course, the fire rate does get downgraded, and this weapon doesn't already have the greatest fire rate, so you'd just be nerfing it a little bit more, but the extra damage would be nice. It's totally up to you. We're running the long barrel opposed from the short barrel because we're getting that extra range. We're getting that extra, well, actually, really just the range here. This weapon falls short when it comes to range, and it needs it. You saw some of the areas where it kind of fell short of range, and like it looked like it should have been hitting, but it wasn't. So even at close range, sometimes the range kind of is a little annoying. So I am using the standard grip, but you do want to use the comfort grip. I completely forgot to put this on before I started recording. You can see what it does, like cosmetic wise, to the handle. But it does improve your VATS accuracy, and it does bring down your AP costs. It is going to increase the weight by like over roughly around 3 pounds. So, but definitely run the comfort grip. It's the better option to run. I was not running it. I completely slipped my mind. So for this weapon, totally run the standard magazine. There's no point in the entire world that you should be running the extra large magazine because this weapon already has a capacity of 250. Why do you need 500 bullets when you're putting down enemies in less than like 6 or 7? So there's no point. Unless you're taking on the whole entire world all at once. So there's no point for that. I'm running the front sight ring. You need a scope for this weapon because there are going to be times where you aren't going to be using it in VATS. So having the scope helps so much more. You have the option for a large bayonet, but I don't see the point. It just nerfs the crap out of your range, and it nerfs the crap out of that weight. There's no point for you to be running this bayonet ever. You should be running no muzzle. It doesn't even make the gun look any like cooler at all. Like I don't see the point. Just like adding some sort of like nose onto the gun. There's no point for this. I thought I'd get this out of the way before I show you guys the perk build. But to get the modifications for the weapon, you just have to recycle the Gatling gun. So anytime you find a Gatling gun or you craft a Gatling gun, if you recycle it, you have a 50% chance of, or somewhere around that line, of getting a random mod for the weapon. So it could be anything. It could be the muzzle, the ring, the magazine, grip, barrel, speed, the receiver. You have a chance to receive any one of those, and that's how you get the mods. But for the perk build, we're running 12 in strength, 2 in perception, 5 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 9 in intelligence, 11 in agility, 13 in luck. That looks like this. We're using the heavy gunner perks along with blocker, 1 in concentrated fire, 1 in glowing sight, 4 in life giver, 1 in radical, 1 in strange in numbers, 3 in tenderizer, nerd rage, power user, stabilizer. This weapon can be used in and out of power armor. I've done both, but I think I'm liking it more in power armor, to be honest. It's hitting harder. It's giving better results so far. But you can totally run it outside of power armor. Action Boy, Gung Fu. Gung Fu is super helpful. Adrenaline, Bloody Mess, Better Criticals, One Gun Army, Class Freak, Starch Jeans. This is pretty much the ultimate ideal build for this weapon. I really don't know any other way you could probably run this other than what I'm showing you. I mean, if you guys can probably find another way to do it, then that's cool. But this is what I've found to work the best. But that's going to be it for the perk build. Let me show you how to get the weapon plans for the Gatling gun. To get the weapon plans for the Gatling gun, you're going to want to come to the White Spring Resort, which is pretty much, everyone should know where that is by now. It's the huge mall on the map. Once you come inside, go all the way down until you come across this shop right here, Local Goods, Brotherhood of Steel. You should come to this vendor, go all the way to his notes, and when you scroll all the way down, or pretty much close all the way down, here it is, you should be able to find the Gatling gun. It's 2,898 caps for me, and that is, we can take that down actually. If we throw on hard bargain, we can go back and go all the way down. It was 2,890. Now it's 2,756. It doesn't save a whole lot of caps, but it's better than wasting all of them. So, I mean, I would prepare and just grab around 3,000. 3,000 is really easy to manage. It's not a lot of caps. And if it is for you, recommend just selling caps to vendors. You can see you can make 1,400 caps every single day, and you can make stuff off of your own vendors. You could ask people to sell you the plans for cheaper. You can go to player vendors to also find the Gatling gun plans. I know that people also sell them there for discounted prices as well. So you can go to player vendors, or you can come here to this vendor. They also might sell it at other vendors as well. I'm not too sure. This is the one that I went to. So yeah. But that's going to be it for weapon number 8, the Gatling gun. We're going to go ahead and move on to weapon number 7. For weapon number 7, we're going to be using the Tesla rifle. Let's go ahead and get straight into the very first test. Getting straight into the very first test with the Tesla rifle. This thing is pretty good. That's why I'm putting it in number 7 right now. It's not good enough to be like number 5 because of some of its issues. I mean, it's a little bit noticeable what the issue is. I mean, I'm running a bloody build with this one. I know you are normally supposed to run quads with a Tesla rifle due to its like low magazine capacity. Everyone knows this. But I do not have a quad Tesla rifle on me, and that is making me put it a little bit lower than it probably deserves to be. And plus, you also have to mind that this weapon really does shine when there are multiple enemies all clustered together rather than spaced apart. So it's more of a strategical weapon than more of a everywhere you go, I'm going to use this weapon. So, and of course, it's going to use up ammo a lot, and also it's not overall the greatest choice. But that's going to be it for test number one. Let's move on to test number two. We are back at the Glowing Behemoth for test number two with the Tesla rifle. So, still going over what I think are sort of a pros and cons lists when it comes to this weapon. I mean, you can see, look how much damage one bit did with this weapon, but you realize I have to continue to put bullets in his face right there. But I mean, he's dead though. I mean, that took him out really quick, probably quicker than the the plasma caster, which is pretty good. But of course, there are issues with it. Like for me, it's magazine capacity. If I had a 40 round mag capacity, my mind might change on how it is. I don't really know. I don't have one, so I can't really tell you if it's gonna be good or bad. I'm only showing you what I'm seeing, and I'm saying that I probably wouldn't use this on a like just running around doing missions or pretty much really too much. Maybe Radiation Rumble when there are a lot of ghouls running around and you can chain the links and hit everything all at once. But I probably wouldn't use it all the time, which is why it's getting ranked number 7. But let's show you the build and the modifications that I used on my Tesla rifle. So for the 3-star legendary effects and the mods on this weapon, we're using the bloodied. Now, I know a lot of my weapons are bloodied, which that's what I am, but I like to tell you guys what I think you can use for alternatives, just in case you aren't fortunate enough to get a decently okay first legendary star like a bloodied. So, anti-armor, obviously the 40, the quad is probably the crown star, probably the best that you can get, and obviously stuff like I'm thinking maybe Juggernauts. I'm not too sure if that would work as well as Bloodied would, but maybe like I mean, I don't really know. I would experiment with it if this is a weapon that you're totally locked in on using, then I would experiment with the weapon that you're locked in on using. If you have more variety and you get to choose what you want, then I would probably just use something else. I mean, this weapon's good, but it's not the greatest. But yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't worry about the other two effects on this weapon. They're not that great. Obviously, we're using the automatic barrel. You could use something like the charging barrel. Kind of makes it work like a sniper. The semi-automatic barrel is what it comes with normally. It's not very good at all. Wouldn't recommend ever using this. The shotgun barrel works just like what it says. It's a shotgun barrel. You shoot it, it shoots pellets, energy pellets. There's not much I can go on from here. If this, I mean, as far as how good it would work as a shotgun, I would totally take the cold shoulder over this. The cold shoulder is probably the best shotgun in the entire game, if anything. This is none of these options are really that great. I would stick with the automatic barrel. Obviously, it's the only way to truly use this weapon. I'm using the reflex sight right here. If I'm not mistaken, you actually have to scrap the weapons to actually get the mods for it. So I would like to just tell you guys real quick, this is how you get the mods for the weapon. You scrap it to get your mods. But I do believe that you can actually buy the mods, like these mods right here, off of vendors. What vendors in particular? I think the Watoga Station. A couple train stations will probably have these barrel mods, so just in case. I'm using the presidential paint on this one, but that's going to be it for the mods. Let's go ahead and show you the perk build. So we have 3 in strength, 15 in perception, 5 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 7 in intelligence, 9 in agility, 13 in luck. This is what that looks like. We have 3 in blocker. all the commando perks, tank killer, concentrated fire. Grenadier actually increases the chain radius, I think, for the lightning on the Tesla rifle. So definitely a must-need perk whenever you are using this weapon. Life Giver, Radical, Strange in Numbers, Tenderizer, Nerd Rage, Science Expert, Science Master. The science perks actually do add a bonus. So right now, if you were to have all 3 science perks, it would do an additional 30. It would do an extra, yeah, 30% more damage. Right now, I only have 2 on, so that's 20. This we have Action Boy, Escape Artist, Adrenaline, because this is somewhat of a commando build. We tried to keep it along the lines of that, sort of. You have a Bloodied Mess, Metacriticals, Class Freak, Starch Genes, Critical Savvy, pretty much just the generic stuff you would see in Luck. So, yeah, but that's going to be it for the perk build and the mods. Let's go ahead and show you where you can find the weapon plans for this weapon. So to find the weapon plans for the Tesla rifle, we are back again at the White Spring Resort, which is yet again here on the same map, same location as the previous weapon, Gatling gun. Walk back in, we're going to the Brotherhood of Steel, same vendor. If we go on and head over to his notes, you can scroll all the way down. Should be pretty far down. Well, at least for me. And here it is, the Tesla rifle for 2,208 caps. Probably is going to be like 100, 200 caps cheaper if you have the hard bargain perk at 3 stars. So this is where you're going to come and pick it up. You won't find any of the mods because I already told you, you actually have to scrap the Tesla rifle to obtain its mods. Or you can go to the Watoga station and grab its barrel mods. So far, all I know is you can get the barrel mods there, nothing else. But yeah, here is where you get the Tesla rifle. That's going to be it for weapon number 7 on the list. Let's go ahead and show you weapon number 6. For weapon number 6, we're going to be using the minigun. Let's go ahead and get into the first demonstration. Okay, so with weapon number 6, I decided to choose this minigun right here because of how surprisingly good it is at doing what it does. This thing plows through enemies' HP, as you can see. I mean, the reason I decided to choose this is because I wanted to get a weapon that was going to be easy for people to access. A lot of weapons on this list are at their placement because they aren't very easy for some players to access, unlike the minigun. You can find this pretty much anywhere you go in Appalachia, and I think that's very useful to be able to find a gun and pick up and mod pretty quickly, especially getting the weapon plans for. You don't even need the weapon plans, you can just get straight into using the thing. So it makes it very good. You can see it plowed through the outside here of West Tech so easily. So let's go ahead and get to the second test. Okay, we're here at the glowing behemoth. Now, back again with the pros and cons for why this weapon is better than most in my list. 1, good damage, and of course, its ammo is extremely easy to feed. I mean, you are easily able to feed this weapon ammo. Look at that. Look at that. Under 100 bullets, and the glowing behemoth is dead before he could even stand. And the return ratio is pretty darn good as well. Where's the ammo here? We should, I say that, and yet here's no ammo. I don't see any ammo here, but okay. But regardless, the ammo is easy to come by. The weapon is really good, and it's easy to modify, doesn't require a lot of materials, and yet it performs so well. It's easily it could have been a top 5, but it was close. It was a close top 5 weapon. But let's go ahead and show you the perk build and the modifications for the minigun. For the 3-star legendary effects and the mods on the minigun, I'm actually using a preset legendary called the Foundation's Revenge, which you can get for completing the uh, public event for the Foundation, where you kill all the super mutants with the Rad Scrubber, and you can get this where you have a small chance to get this whenever you actually complete it. You honestly have a pretty high chance of just going to vendors and finding the specific version of the minigun, which this one is a bloodied explosive, which is extremely good. Very, very good. So if you'd like to get this specific one, vendors and completing that public event will get you the Foundation's Revenge. For the mods for the weapon, the only way to obtain the mods is by scrapping the minigun. So if you find them out in the wild, you can scrap them to get the mods, or you can craft them and then scrap them. But for the mods we're using the accelerated barrel. I know that you can use things like the prime, but that would only decrease the damage, and it also is just more of downs than it is ups. I would recommend you just go with the accelerated barrel. Recommend you use the gunner sight because this weapon is not really used so much in VATS. It's more of a non-VATS weapon. So I would recommend you use it when just aiming down sights. Now, you have the option to use the Shredder whenever you get the Foundation's Revenge. It normally comes with this already equipped. But it just comes with more downsides, and it's just not that big. It's just not that useful. It's more of clutter on your screen. I make it more streamlined and more slim. And it looks, I think it looks a lot nicer like this anyway. And it also actually does improve the weapon. It also increases the durability. So it is way better to do the no muzzle. This is what the paints look like. This is just the standard Foundation's Revenge. It doesn't change how the weapon works at all. That's it for the mods. Let's go over to the perk build. We have 12 in strength, 4 in perception, 4 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 14 in intelligence, 8 in agility, 10 in luck. We're using all the heavy gunner perks along with blocker, along with glowing sight and grenadier. Since this weapon is explosive and I am using grenadier, if yours is not explosive, I would not recommend using grenadier and using the 2 points for something else. Fireproof, radical, strange in numbers, tenderizer, nerd rage, power user, stabilizer. This is a power armor build. It works the best in power armor compared to outside of power armor, so I recommend you using it in power armor. Demolition Expert goes hand in hand with my Grenadier perk because it is an explosive weapon. So yet again, you can take this perk off if you don't have the Foundation's Revenge, or if you just don't have a explosive perk at all. The Action Boy, Adrenaline, Bloody Mess, One Gun Army, Class Freak, Starch Jeans. That's gonna be it for the perk build. I'm going to show you where you can find the weapon plans for the minigun. Before I tell you how you can get the weapon plans for the minigun, first I'm going to show you a guaranteed spawn location to find a minigun. We're here at Nicholson N in the ash heap, right here. You should spawn on this road. Be careful, there are a fair bit of enemies, including super mutants. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of these guys before we continue. I think that's, nope, not all of them. Also, the minigun can also spawn on super mutants. So if you kill a super mutant, they have a good chance of having a minigun, like right here. So this is another way on how you can get them. But if you run over here and come in here, you should find another minigun. So you have a chance to kill the super mutants and get a minigun out here, and a guaranteed minigun in here. Now I'm going to show you how you can get the weapon plan itself. To get the weapon plan for the minigun, you're going to have to come to the Fort Atlas here on the map, the observatory, and you're going to have to start the Brotherhood of Steel's quest line. Once you've progressed far enough into the quest line where you have to do the mission called Belly of the Beast, you will then be able to get the guaranteed minigun weapon plan. Then you can craft the minigun. You're going to have to progress somewhat pretty far into the Fort Atlas storyline. I'm not quite sure how far in, but I know it is pretty far in. So this is how you get the minigun blueprint. That's going to be it for weapon number 6. I'm going to show you weapon number 5. For weapon number 5, we're going to be using the chainsaw. Let's go ahead and show you the first demonstration. For demonstration number 1 with the chainsaw, we're going to see how well this works. The chainsaw is preferably a little bit better than the auto axe. It might not look like it, but it really is better. You might be wondering how. If you were to look at it like just straight up on paper, it really does outperform the auto axe, and that's why I placed the auto axe so high up on the list. There was also some other factors on why I put the auto axe up there. The chainsaw gets its number 5 spot because of the fact that it's so good, it's so easy to get, it doesn't require much skill, and you can get it pretty early on into your game or your playthrough if you're on a new account even. So it's very easy to access, and it's just this good. But that's it for demonstration number 1. We'll do demonstration number 2 now. For the second demonstration, we're going to see how well it performs against the glowing behemoth here. I have high expectations because this weapon is better than the other weapon, the auto axe, so I have higher expectations for it. You can just see he's gone. The stun damage on this weapon outplays every pretty much every other melee weapon. I mean, the glowing behemoth couldn't do anything. It could not do anything at all. He tried to move, but it didn't work, and the flames kicked in, and he was just dead. So that's going to be it for the second demonstration. Let's get into the weapon mods and the perk build. Effects and the modifications on the chainsaw. We're using the Vampire's Flaming Chainsaw, which it restores my HP over 2 seconds when you hit a target. So theoretically, I cannot die no matter how hard they try to hit me. My HP will continue to regain. I also have 50% limb damage, which is really helpful because this is a chainsaw, and endurance is also pretty dang helpful. Although agility would be a bit more practical, endurance works just fine. Now for our mods, we're using the dual bar. This is the standard. This is the dual. It's just another one. And we're also using the flamer mod. So, yeah. And I guess there are a bunch of different paints for the chainsaw, but I'm using this one right here. It's the Mothman one. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the mods. Let's move on to the perk build. So we have 15 in strength, 3 in perception, 8 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 3 in intelligence, 13 in agility, 10 in luck. This is what that looks like. We have Barbarian, Blocker, all the Slugger perks, 3 in Glowing Sight, Radical, Fireproof, Life Giver, Stranger in Numbers, Tenderizer, Nerd Rage, Action Boy, Adrenaline, Escape Artist, Evasive, Moving Target. We have Bloody Mess, Class Freak, Starch Jeans, and Ricochet. That's going to be it for the perk build here. For the chainsaw, I'll show you how to get the weapon in the weapon mods. To get the chainsaw, you're going to need to come to the metal dome, which is here on the map. If you look at Fort Atlas, it's just a little bit further up. You shouldn't miss it. Should look almost kind of like a raider camp. Once you're here, don't go down there. Go over here. Go all the way down. There's going to be some twists and some turns to get to where we need to go. Go all the way through here. Past here, inside this room, and here it is. Here is the chainsaw. I'll go ahead and pick it up. And here it is. Now it only spawns in for level 50, so if you're under level 50, the chainsaw will not spawn in here. This is what, to my knowledge, is. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure it's for level 50 only. I don't need it, so I am going to drop it, but yeah, this is where you find it. Let's get on to the mods. The mod boxes for the chainsaw, you're going to need to come to the Watoga station here in Cranberry Bog. You can also alternatively go to the Watoga shopping plaza and just interact with the bot, go over to the notes. Well, actually, no, not the notes, the mods. And you should be able to, up here it is, chainsaw flamer, chainsaw long bow bar. You should also be able to find the other chainsaw bit as well, the dual bar, but here's the longbow bar. But yeah, this is where you're going to go to find your mods for the weapon. That's going to be it for weapon number 5. Let's move on to weapon number 4. For weapon number 4, we're going to be using the flamer. Let's go ahead and get into the first demonstration. We are here with the flamer to test out the very first demonstration with it. It is proving to be very good. This is obvious. We already know the flamer is one of the best weapons in the game. This is obvious. You can see it's putting these guys down with absolutely no sweat. The reason I decided to choose the flamer for the for number 4 was because it's good at killing pretty much everything, and it's very easy to get this weapon. I mean, you don't really have to put that much work into it, but it burns through ammo quickly, and this specific version can only be obtained through a certain public event, so that's why it's at number 4. But let's go ahead and do the second test. Behemoth, ready to test her out, see if she performs just as well as I think she will. Here we go. Wow. Well, that was quick. Yeah, so the stagger damage on this weapon is very good, and it performs very well. But of course, I'm having to put it at number 4 due to the fact that it uses ammo quickly, its durability goes down very fast whenever you're using it. But I placed it at 4 because it's so good, and it's very accessible to certain people, even at a low level. But let me show you the perk build and the modifications used on this flamer. The 3-star legendary effects and the mods being used on my flamer. We're using the Holy Fire, which, similar to the Foundation's Revenge, it's dropped from public events and also has preset legendary effects on it, such as a Vampires mod, the Durability mod, and the Weapon Speed mod. So it's very good. All these mods are very good because the flamer is already known to break very fast whenever you use it. So having the extra 50% breaking slower is very helpful when using this weapon. And for it being a vampires, it's also very helpful. Probably one of my favorites to use is vampires on this weapon, similar to the chainsaws. But for the mods, we're using the napalm tank, which it should normally already come with the napalm tank if you're using the Holy Fire. If not, and you just have a standard flamer, then the napalm tank is what I'm using. Now, for me, using the long barrel actually makes this weapon worse, but using the long barrel on the actual flamer itself is actually what you want to do. The holy fire is actually very different compared to the flamer. So keep that in mind. The weapons will not pan out the exact same. The holy fire is a little bit like, actually, you know what? It's significantly better than the standard flamer. Um, but still, the flamer is very accessible. That's why I put it at number 4. But yeah, you're gonna want to use the long barrel. For me, I'm using the holy fire, which is the standard barrel, and it doesn't really matter which tank you use. Preferably, you should use the large or the huge. Preferably, you should use the large or the huge. But I am using the large. Also, you can see that you just have to scrap the flamer to get most of these mods. So I'm not going to be showing where to get them. You can see that all you have to do is to scrap the flamer itself, and you'll get the mods. For the perk build, we're using 12 in strength, 2 in perception, 8 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 9 in intelligence, 8 in agility, 13 in luck. This is what the flamer build looks like. We have all the master and heavy gunner perks with blocker, 2 in glowing sight, life giver, fireproof, radical, strange in numbers, tenderizer, nerd rage, power user, stabilized, action boy, adrenaline, bloody mess, one gun army, ricochet, class freak, and starch jeans. That's going to be the ultimate flamer build. This works for the holy fire and the flamer. Doesn't matter. And that's going to be it for the perk build. Let's go ahead and show you where you can find the blueprint for the flamer. To find the flamer plan, you're going to be coming back to the White Spring and going back inside and going all the way down to the local goods free states, aka the White Spring Spa. Once you go ahead and click on this guy, you can go all the way over to his notes, and here it is, the flamer. For currently 2,592 caps, but probably minus 200 to 300 if you have the 3-star hard bargain perk. So yeah, this is where you're going to be able to find the plan in the White Spring Hotel. That's going to be it for weapon number 4. Let's go ahead and move on to weapon number 3. For weapon number 3, we're going to be using the railway rifle. Let's go ahead and get into the first demonstration. Here at West Tech, ready to start the demonstration out. So, I don't think I need to explain why this weapon was chose to be where it is. This weapon needs no introduction. It needs no introduction. I chose this weapon for number 3, and honestly, I would have made it number 1. I would have made it number 1. Except for the fact that this weapon is not a quad for me. It was only a 20-round mag. And also, it's not as versatile, and nor is it as optional for some players. And it cannot be used for some low levels. You have to be level 45 to 50 to use it. But let's go ahead and get into the second demonstration. Alright, the glowing behemoth. Ready to test it out. So, I mean, this weapon is probably one of the best weapons. I mean, he's gone. Oh my gosh, look at it. Dude, he's all the way over there. The railway rifle is so powerful. It is launched the glowing beam. Yo, look at his head. Okay, normally I'm pretty like... Wow. Okay. Hey, can I get my like stuff from you? Okay, I guess not. That was, dude, his head is extending all the way over there. Okay, well, that's enough of that. Okay. Either way, I would have put this weapon at number 1, but unfortunately, it can only be used for level 45s to level 50s. It isn't available for the lower levels, and that's kind of the whole idea for this list. It's for availability and practicality, and obviously how good the weapon performs. This weapon has an A plus in performing. Unfortunately, it doesn't do so well when it comes to practicality and usability over the low levels over compared to the high levels. But you're over level 50, I would use this weapon every single time that I'm on. It's cheap to fill. Although its durability does go down, that also does play a factor in the weapon. But now that I've gone over why it deserves to be in the level in spot number 3, let me show you the build and the perk cards. Now for the 3-star legendary effects and my modifications on my rearway rifle. Yet again, this one is very similar to the Foundation's Revenge and the Holy Fire. This one is actually not a public event reward, but a quest reward. I'm not sure which quest it was, but if you just look up how to get the ticket to Revenge, you should be able to find it. I know it's in the new area, the new Skyline Valley. That's all I know. Um, it's very good. All of its effects are pretty nice. Maybe not the greatest when it comes to weight. Um, but it's alright though because the 2 other star effects are great. This weapon also is so good because instead of just coming with a traditional 10 round magazine, it comes with 20. So it's almost nearly as good as a quad weapon. It's only missing an extra 20 bullets. So I'm getting really good stuff out of this weapon and not having to waste too much time and resources trying to get myself a quad variant for this weapon and level 50. So, very nice. Now, I'm pretty sure it already comes with an automatic receiver if you get the ticket to Revenge, which is a really good weapon. I recommend you get this, to be honest, than any other version. Now, you may be tempted and see that the Ultra Sight might be better. No, it actually brings down your damage and reverts it from automatic to single fire. Everything about that is a total no. Not even the standard receiver is even decent. You only want the automatic because this weapon's useless without it being automatic. Obviously, you're going to want to get the long barrel. Of course, this weapon already comes with the long barrel already on, but if you don't already have it, then you need to manually put it on your weapon because no railway rifle automatically comes with it. Also, to get the mods for the railway rifle, you do not get the plans for them. You actually just, you see it right there, scrap railway rifle, and you will have a small chance to unlock the mod. Now for the stock, now it comes with the standard stock for this one, and I know you can obviously get the recoil compensating stock, but the standard stock is actually far superior. You can see that the condition or the durability on this weapon goes down when you select the compensating stock. This weapon breaks fairly fast, so it's not a good idea to have the recoil compensated stock. It's better to have that extra condition with your standard stock. Now for the scope, it's probably better. Now I'm running the reflex sight. Don't ask me why. I can't even remember why. But the scope that you're going to want to run is the long vision night vision scope. Obviously, I don't have it on my weapon because I don't have the plan for it. Some of these mods you actually do have to get the plans for. You can find them scattered all over the place, and you can also find them in vendors. Which vendors, I'm not too sure. Most of these you normally just have to scrap, like all these ones that I have. These ones were all from scrapping. This is the only scope that, in my knowledge, that I know you have to get the plan for. Now, no muzzle. It only downgrades the weapon. And this is the paint that comes with the weapon. On to the perk build. We're using 3 in strength, 15 in perception, 5 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 3 in intelligence, 11 in agility, 15 in luck. We're using blocker, all the commando perks along with concentrated fire and tank killer. We also are using life giver with radical with strange numbers, tenderizer, and nerd rage, action boy, evasive, adrenaline, and gung fu. We also are using Bloody Mess, Better Criticals, Class Freak, Starch Jeans, Critical Savvy. And that's going to be it for the ultimate, I guess, railway rifle build. It works with the Ticket of Revenge or Ticket to Revenge, and it also works with just a generic railway rifle. So yeah, now let me show you how you can get the railway rifle plan. To find the railway rifle plan, we are back at the White Spring again, back at the same vendor, the spa, talking to this Protectron, going over to his notes, scrolling all the way down. Here it is, railway rifle for 1,490 caps. It's a very cheap weapon plan for one of the best guns in the entire game. So definitely worth it. But yep, that's how you get the weapon plan for the railway rifle. So now that we're done with weapon number 3, I'll go ahead and show you guys weapon number 2. For weapon number 2, we're going to be using the Handmade assault rifle. Let's go ahead and get into the first demonstration. So we are doing our first demonstration with the Handmade assault rifle. This weapon, there's a reason why I decided to make this one number 2. And this one is going to stay number 2 regardless on the list. This one is probably one of my favorites as well. It's so versatile. It does everything correct that any assault rifle would ever wish. It does commandoing great AP, great damage. You can see it's just wiping this place out. That turret almost got me. I completely forgot about that. Let's just kill him. And the range is great. You really don't have to worry about anything with this build. And you can use it at a super low level, starting off at level 15, man. This thing is really just one of my favorite weapons. You know, it's so versatile that it can be used literally anywhere, anytime. And the ammo's cheap, too. So, like, it's perfect. But let's get straight into the next demonstration. So we're back with the glowing behemoth again, ready to test out the Handmade, so I can show you guys why this weapon truly is one of the best assault rifles in the entire game. I mean, this thing, look at that, look at that. Hold on, we're gonna let that recharge, and he's dead. I don't know what happened to those bullets in the beginning. I don't know, they were like missing, but yeah, you can see when the bullets start hitting, he's dead in practically almost 1.5 magazines. So it's quick. And I know what you guys might be thinking. The railway rifle killed the glowing behemoth and launched him to outer space. Yes. But this weapon can be picked up by a level 15, and they can start using this so early that it's so versatile, and there's so many different ways you can use this weapon, when I feel like the railway rifle is literally just quad. It's just quad. And you know, that's what I love about this weapon, is because you can do so much with it at such a low level and yet be such a high level and still be using it, and it works so well. But let's get into the perk build and the modifications. For the modifications and the star effects, for this one I am just using Bloodied. I wanted to choose one that wasn't like great, but wasn't amazing at the same time. And this fit it perfectly. It's a decently really good 1-star effect. It's Bloodied, but it does so well even without the other 2 stars. I mean, this weapon performs so well. I can't stop saying it. I mean, it's honestly an all-round great weapon. And even with the 1 star, it works really well. Now for our mods, there are a lot of different mods for this weapon, and if you're wondering how to get them, you don't actually get the plans. You just scrap the actual weapon itself, the Handmade, and you'll receive all the mods. There's only a couple mods you actually have to get plans for. For example, the Prime Automatic Receiver, you do have to get the plan for that, and a couple others you do have to get plans for. But for the most part, more than like 85% of all this is just from scrapping the weapon, and you'll get the mod. But we're running the tweaked automatic receiver. It's going to make it automatic like the assault rifle should be. We're running the line long barrel. The forceful stock adds extra durability, but this thing never loses durability pretty much ever. I've probably put like 3,000 bullets through it, and that's the durability. This thing is a beast. For the magazine, I see a lot of people like to run quad on this gun, but you literally do not need to run quad. It is not that big of a deal. I run 20 bullets on this gun and I'm taking out bosses like it's nothing. I mean, I really don't even have to put a sweat into it. And yeah, I might have to reload, but still, I'm taking them out real quick. Now, you could run the drum mag, but you're going to lose that 40 plus armor penetration that you have with the perforating mag. And for what? Another 10 bullets? And yes, it kind of makes the gun look a little bit cooler, seeing a drum mag on it, but I like the waffle style magazine, meh. I think it adds to the character of the design of this weapon, and it obviously adds extra damage, so it's worth it to me. Now, some people are probably going to be like, why don't you run the long night vision scope? Yes, it adds VATS accuracy, but it also increases your AP cost, which is something you don't want in an assault rifle. It's already at 14, the VATS accuracy is at 81. It's a huge improvement for the VATS accuracy with the night vision scope, but this weapon is so good at hitting its target. I mean, I've probably like I don't think I've ever seen it inaccurate except for one time whenever I missed like half a mag on the Behemoth. I don't know what happened there, but I went back into VATS and I hit every single shot. So I'm not sure what happened there, but for the most part, more than 80% of the time, it's always accurate, and that's at 81 VATS accuracy. So it's doing a really good job. So I keep it at that. The suppressor is pretty much the only way to go when you're running a build like this. This type of commando build, stealthy, obviously. This is what you're going for. And if you're wondering about the paint, this is what it normally looks like. It's like an AK, but I like this like modern military look style of the gun, which this is in this Atom store right now, actually, for 300 atoms, so get it while you can. But moving over to the perk cards, we're running 3 in strength, 15 in perception, 1 in endurance, 4 in charisma, 3 in intelligence, 15 in agility, 15 in luck. This is looking like blocker, commando perks, tank killer, concentrated fire, glowing sight, radical, strange in numbers, tenderizer, nerd rage, action boy, covert operative, escape artist, gung fu, adrenaline, bloody mess, better criticals, four-leaf clover, class freak, starch jeans, and critical savvy. This is the optimal build for this type of stealthy assault rifle, and probably, yeah, this is the best that you can get. So, but that's going to be it for the perk build. Let me show you where you can find the handmade assault rifle. To find the handmade rifle, we are back again at the White Spring Resort, yet again, right here on the map. Right here in this spot, talking to this vendor. We can go all the way over to his notes, scroll all the way down, and we should find it. Here it is. It should be classified as the handmade gun, not the handmade rifle. It's a little misleading, yes, I'm aware, but you should be able to spot it by the words handmade. It is extremely cheap. One of the reasons why it's placed at number 2 on the list. It's cheap. The ammo's affordable. It's extremely versatile. I mean, this weapon has everything good going for it, and which is why it's at number 2. But yes, you can pick it up for probably like 1,400 with the hard bargain perk on. So you can even get it for an even more discounted price, and you can start using the thing at level 15. So definitely worth it. If there was a weapon on this list that I would recommend that you would get, it'd be this one times 1,000. It's one of the best. But that's going to be it for weapon number 2. We're going to be moving on to the last and final weapon weapon number 1. What I think holds the spot for the best weapon in Fallout 76. Let's go ahead and show you weapon number 1. For weapon number 1, we're going to be using the Fixer. Let's go ahead and get straight into the first demonstration. Hopping straight into the very first demonstration with our Fixer, you're going to see why this weapon is truly the best weapon out there. You can see it's really putting every single super mutant it sees to rest. I chose this weapon for number 1 if it wasn't already obvious, because of the fact that it is accessible to anybody at level 15 and all the way up to level 50, unlike the Handmade, which caps out at level 45. And also because its ammo is easy to find, and this weapon is also literally everywhere. It's almost in every single player's vendor. Probably not the weapon plan, but the weapon itself, so it's not difficult to find. And also, as you can tell, the damage is impeccable, along with the stealth. But that's enough for presentation number 1. We'll move on to presentation number 2. We are back with the glowing behemoth for the very last time of the video with the Fixer. Going to show you guys how overpowered this weapon is about to get. So, oh, hold up. There we go. All right, now we're back. And if I could lock onto his head. Yeah, sometimes you have to wait for him to wake up so he can die. But yeah, you can see it melts him in seconds. I'm not surprised. It didn't really work in the beginning because sometimes it's a little bit buggy whenever he wakes up. I've had that happen a couple different times. But yeah, there's a reason why I put this one at number 1. It's easy for everybody to get. It's almost in every single vendor. It is literally ranked by so many people the number 1 best weapon in all of Fallout 76. Don't take it from me. Take it from the many different YouTubers that I've heard, different players' opinions. I mean, you may have a different opinion, but the facts are here. The weapon is truly that good. And I mean, it doesn't compete in some areas that like a quad railway rifle will, but at the same time though, this weapon is more accessible, ammo's easy, its durability works great. I've probably only ever had it break on me like once, and I've been using it for like a year now, and they're easy to find. It's overall very easy to mod. It's easy to get the mods itself. I mean, the whole thing is just a complete blast to use. I mean, that is by far enough reasons to give it the number 1 spot. But let's get into the mods and the perk build. Onto the modifications and the 3-star legendary effects. This weapon actually has 6 effects on. It has the bloodied, limb damage, weapon breaks 50% slower, 40% armor penetration, 100% sneak speed, and 15% stealth and shadows. This is what makes the Fixer shine upon most other weapons. It has all these other effects added onto it, and it just skyrockets it so far up. No other weapon has this sort of ability to have this many effects stacked on top of each other, which is what makes it shine the most. Now, onto the modifications. How do you get the mods? All you have to do is scrap the combat rifle, and you should unlock the mods for the Fixer here. You can just craft the combat rifle and then scrap them, or you can find them out in the wild and then scrap them that way. It probably took me around 2 hours to get every single mod for the Fixer, so not too long, not too taxing. Now, for the best mods, you're going to want to use the powerful automatic receiver. Now, some people would use the prime, but it's not the waste over the hassle, the extra materials, just for it to go up 1 damage. You can see it's 164 with the ultra sight and 163 with the normal standard 45 round. So it's not a big deal. Now for the barrel, we're using the Align long barrel. For the stock, the forceful stock. And the perforating magazine for the extra 40% armor penetration. We're also using the reflex dot. I prefer to use this one because it keeps the AP cost low, which is nice. Unlike this, which is going to bring up that AP cost by 15, but it will also bring up your VATS accuracy, but it's not a big deal because this weapon is pretty darn accurate. Now, most fixers, pretty much every single one of them, will come with a suppressor already on the gun. Um, and that's how you want to run this weapon. Always with a suppressor, nothing else. And you can add paints onto it. This is the default combat rifle, and this is the fixer paint. You can also add your own different paints onto the weapon, which I unfortunately do not own. But let's head on over to the perk build. So for the fixer perk build, we're running 3 strength, 13 perception, 5 endurance, 4 charisma, 3 intelligence, 15 agility, and 13 in luck. And this is what that looks like. You see we have blocker, the commando perks along with tank killer, concentrated fire, along with life giver, radical, strange in numbers, tenderizer, nerd rage, covert operative, evasive, escape artist, gung fu, and adrenaline. Over at luck, we're using bloody mess, better criticals, class freak, starch genes, and critical savvy. This is going to be the optimal fixer build that you could possibly use for perfect stealth, damage to maximize pretty much everything that the fixer does. So that's going to be it for the perk build. Let me show you how you can find and obtain the fixer and the fixer plan. To obtain the fixer plan, you're going to need to go to pretty much, I think, any any train station will work. I'm not too sure. I'm here at the White Spring station, but I'm pretty sure any train station will work. Once you're there, you want to walk up to an area that might have like posters, and you want to look for this one. Sheep Squatch ate my brother. For more information, come to the Van Lowe Taxidermy in Lewisburg. Whenever you hit read, it's going to read the exact same thing. And you want to go to Lewisburg. So if you're unaware of where that is, it's right here. This is Lewisburg. Now there is no TP point to the exact spot, but this is Lewisburg. So just walk around till you find the poster again, and that will be your building. You can watch a tutorial on YouTube on how to do the quest line for this. It's pretty cool. It also does give you a fixer in this at the end of this quest line. It gives you a free fixer. Depending on what level you are, it will give you a corresponding fixer. And once you're done with that, it will give you the ability to go over here to the pylon ambush site where you will be able to do a public event called Encrypted, which I don't recommend you do by yourself. You're going to need a group of people to do it with, or hopefully, if you're lucky, a bunch of people will join. It's a pretty popular event, but there is a very small chance that the fixer plan itself will actually drop as a reward after you complete the event, and you can learn the fixer from there. So that's how you get the fixer plan. Let me show you the other way. The other way that you could get yourself a fixer is by going to someone's camp and going into their vendor and checking out to see if they sell fixers. So this guy is selling 2 fixers right here. So instead of getting the weapon plan, I could just come in here and I could buy one of these fixers. Now, of course, you can always ask them to lower the price. I could go and talk to this guy in game chat or send him a message on PlayStation and ask him if he could lower the price to maybe 2,000 caps or maybe even 1,000. Just depends on how generous. But yeah, this is just another quick way. I mean, finding them in vendors is going to be a lot easier than most. But yeah, this is a pretty quick way to get a fixer. Alright everybody, that's going to be the end of the video. I did spend an incredibly long time filming this video, about 2 days. So if you guys did enjoy, please make sure to comment, like the video. I mean, the views are super helpful. I mean, I do enjoy making these videos to try to make them as formal as possible so you guys don't have to continue to scroll for videos on YouTube for the best builds for this and this and this. So I try to make everything as formal as possible so you guys can get as much information as possible. So if you guys did enjoy, please do all that. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments. I would like to hear you guys' feedback. Maybe different video idea recommendations. I do want to expand on what I'm doing on here. Just give me all sorts of different ideas, and I'll be skimming through the comments, checking them out. I'm very glad to be back. I wanted my first video to be pretty big now that I'm back, but I hope you guys did enjoy. That's going to be it for this video. Peace.